got an army you can see, and an army you don't know nothing of.
So this is a video that I've been meaning to do for a while, and it deals with preppers. This channel, Covert Radio, the Mess Hall, it's going to deal basically with food, recipes, off-grid solutions, and basically preparing in the event of an emergency. Right now, this is August the 31st, 2016. If you take a look around the news and YouTube, especially in Germany, you'll see that, and it's not just Germany, there's several other countries that are advising their citizens to store up some food and water in the event of an emergency, enough for 10 days at the very minimum. And it's odd to me a little bit that, so many countries around the same amount of time, a week or so this past week, would advise their citizens to do this. And it's like, so are you expecting something? Or is this, some fear tactic, a control tactic? Do you know something the citizens don't know? I mean, I don't know. It's just odd that a lot of European countries are, like I said, advising their citizens to prepare some food and water. But anybody that lives in an area that's prone to flooding or prone to tornadoes or what have you, it's only smart to have some food around, because really, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know your ability to go get food and things like that, or clean water. So to have some of that stored up for yourself or your family, it just makes sense. And I've always said this, worst case scenario, fine, give it away, donate it to a church, a month or 2 or 3 before it expires, and so what? So you never needed it, but I'd rather do that than not have any at all and then really need it. But I want to elaborate on my title of this, and it's not clickbait. I'm telling you something. If you're a prepper, you really need to understand something. And I want you to look at this in a little bit of a different way. I have a keen eye for marketing. I have a keen eye for propaganda and things like that. If you're a listener on my premier channel, Covert Radio, you'll know that my content is pretty much no nonsense, and I give a very discerning view of certain things, and this is one of them. This definitely is one of them. And it started for me back in 2012 when I seen the show Doomsday Preppers. It was launched on February the 7th of 2012, and it ran for about 4 seasons on the National Geographic channel. And what they would do is showcase maybe three to 5 different families, and each one of these families had their own story. Well, I'm afraid of a, economic collapse, or I'm afraid of a tornado. And they go through all their preps, how much food they have, their security, all kinds of things. And then they would grade them. Survivalist experts would grade them, how ready they actually are. And, I enjoy watching that show. I did, but it got me thinking, like, so what is this glorification now of prepping? Because prepping is nothing new. The settlers in this country, the pioneers, they were the first preppers. The Native Americans were the first preppers. The Northeast Indians and stuff, they had to get through winter in different climatic seasons, so they had to prepare. And but to glorify it on a show, it just always made me feel like, oh, okay, well, so what, you want everybody to start prepping or whatever? But I'll tell you what really sent it home for me one day is I walked into Walmart, and within 10 feet of the door, there were these containers just stacked in one of them middle piles on a shipping crate or whatever. And it was these like 30-day survival packs. Like it had freeze-dried food and all these things. You know, like I said, the first thing as soon as you walk into Walmart, and I was like, oh, okay. So, I don't know. Either somebody's making a lot of money in the survival food type thing, or this is, again, propaganda for fear. You got to be ready, be ready, be ready. Or it's maybe a little something different, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about here quickly. You know, I'm an old high school football player, okay? And high school football it's its own beast. Every movie that deals with teenage life, it always includes the football players and things like that. And I didn't go to a big school, but nonetheless, I did play football, and we'd have, you know, during the season, we'd have a night where we would watch films. Everybody does this. Even the NFL, you know, the coaches watch films. And the reason for watching films is for strategy, okay? Football is so popular in the United States. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it goes back to tribalism. And, you know, I've had discussions with some people over the years about this, the popularity of football, my team, you know, my colors, this is my flag, my symbols. It pulls on our inner core. I mean, that's our ancestry did the same thing. I mean, it's just a tribal thing. You know, our tribe versus your tribe, and you get behind your tribe. And it's no different for the European soccer players, and those people get crazy sometimes. And I'm not saying United States football fans don't, but they, like the hooligans and stuff in the UK, I mean, come on. But football's huge, and it's in us, you know what I mean? It's part of our history on a genetic level. But football has been related to battle. It's been related to the gladiators. It's been related to everything. But specifically battle. Okay, we all understand war. We all understand battle. So the parallels between football and a war or a battle, and somebody, you know, a team sitting back and watching films of their opponent, or watching films of themselves and critiquing different plays and what they're missing, or you know, what they should have did, or what they're doing right. And I mean, the team and coaches will watch films over and over and over again. A big part of that is strategy, is getting a strategy for the team you're playing Friday night, or a strategy for tomorrow's practice, what to work on and things. Another thing is intelligence. You know, same as the military. You have spies, you have intel, spy planes, things. They're gathering intelligence. Well, we sit in a locker room, we watch the films, and we're, you know, getting intel on the team we're about to play. And, you know, like I said, there's a lot of research that goes into strategy for football and war. Never, ever, ever forget the past. But don't ever confuse or misunderstand that World War II, you know, I can mention the Cold War, but I think the Cold War was just a big, big propaganda type thing where it was kind of real, but at the same time, like, who would push the button? You know what I mean? Like, who would really do that? Because so what? We could nuke the USSR, or the USSR could nuke us. The land's no good for 10,000 years. So I mean, in reality and logically, does a nuclear war even, like, is that even feasible? You know, back then in the 70s, 80s and stuff, when the Cold War was at its pinnacle there. But the last real war that we had was World War II. And one of the biggest battles in that war, actually I think it was the biggest battle, it was called Operation Barbarossa. And Operation Barbarossa began on June 22nd of 1941. And what it was is the German Nazi invasion of the Soviet Union. This has been written as the largest theater of war in history. It only lasted, well, I can't say only, but it lasted for 4 years. it resulted in the death of more than 26 million people. There were more people that died fighting on that Eastern Front than in all other fights across the entire planet during World War II. I mean, we're talking troops, 800,000 troops at a time. German troops pushing into the Soviet Union. But I'm telling you guys something, there was a lot of things learned in that war, in Hitler's strategy and strategies of the Allied coalition. And I'm going to link this back to prepping. There has been, in my opinion, there has been not only a military operation going on in this country for over 20 years called Divide and Conquer, which we're kind of at the final end of right now with the BLM and these riots periodically breaking out, them Dallas cops. I mean, they want a race war started in this country yesterday. And it's coming to a head. The Soros Foundation has poured millions of dollars into the BLM. You know, they're calling for the death of all white people, and it's just, you know, they really want us to kill each other so that they can come in and scoop up whatever's left. And they don't want the blood on their hands. So if we, you know, part of this divide and conquer warlike mentality is so that we kill each other. They can just come in at the end and do what they want to do and do what they have planned. So, but that's not the only operation we've been under. We've been under another military strategy called the attrition of warfare, or war of attrition. And that's been going on for longer than the divide and conquer. But both of these strategies are coming to a head right now. And for those who don't know, attrition war is basically grinding people into nothing. Okay, you just keep wearing them down, wearing them down, wearing them down, wearing them down. It's a military strategy. It's just, you just keep wearing your enemy down. We're the enemy. You wear us down, wear us down. And you wear them down to the point of collapse. And it's just through continuous losses. You lost your job. You lost your house. You know, the housing bubble crash in 2008. And, you know, all these, you know, everything leaving to China, all of our industry, all of our jobs. Again, the housing market crash, all of this stuff, it's just been a war of attrition. It's just continually wearing people down. Okay, then you got to get food stamps or help like that. And then those, you know, you get limited off of those. And then maybe, or well, when you first lose your job, you get unemployment. Then that goes out. Then you get assistance, food assistance. Then that gets whittled down. So they've been constantly wearing down millions and millions and millions of Americans over the last, 20, 30 years. It's just been a trickle down. But again, we're getting to the end of that too. Mind you, at the same time, we've had this push for prepping, the shows, and there's been offshoots of Doomsday Preppers. You go into Walmart, there's, canisters of 40-day supplies of food and this and that. And now you have all these other European countries right now telling their citizens to prep. Well, here's the thing, and this is again what I want you guys to think about. Whether you know this or not, one of the turning points for Operation Barbarossa, it was a plan that was created by a German Nazi named Herbert Beck. And it was called a hunger plan. And as soon as Hitler seen this, he basically was all for it. Basically what that would do is allow the German Nazis, they continue to push into the Soviet Union. They would take the food out of all these towns and villages that they kept pushing through. They would take the food from the Ukrainians, from these different areas near the Soviet Union. The Ukraine was prominent in this. Instead of following any type of Geneva Convention rules, they took that food and they gave it to the German soldiers. The reason for all of this, and again, this was a plan called the Hunger Plan. Number one, the German soldiers would be self-sufficient with their food supplies. They didn't have to worry about supply lines. They didn't have to worry about, because Operation Barbarossa lasted 4 years and, 4 different seasons. Russia has very bad winters. And the Germans would be self-sufficient in their food. They would be able to sustain themselves, keep fighting, while the Ukrainians and these other little countries going to the heart of the Soviet Union, while they would starve to death. The morale was broken, and they just they conquered them. So it was basically an engineered famine. It was planned, implemented, it was acted out to perfection. So let me ask you this. Oh, and just so you know, this plan caused the deaths of millions of people. Millions of people. Let me ask you this. Are you ready to protect your preps? If you're a prepper, I'm asking you. Or let me ask you this. Are you ready to protect what's in your pantry? You got into this whole Doomsday Prepper stuff. That was a plan. They wanted, hey, look how these, do it. Then you go into Walmart. As soon as you walk in, 10 feet later, 40-day supply in case of them. Okay, yeah, I'll grab that. Okay, well, let me ask you this. Are you ready to protect it? Because that's where we're at. That's where we're going to be at. What are your thoughts on protecting your preps? Hiding it? Having it in another location? Having some at your residence or wherever and having some somewhere else? Because this is why it bothers me. Like I said, don't think that these controllers have not thought this out down to the last detail. And what better way to keep a battalion of soldiers, whether they're UN troops or, NATO troops, foreign troops, okay? What better way to keep them out in the streets, out in the towns, out in the cities, if all they have to do is go house to house and there's a container of 40-day food supply. There's a pantry full of food. There's a tote full of rice and beans. I mean, we've purposely been manipulated by the Doomsday Preppers, these other offshoots, the Apocalypse Preppers, Walmart. We've been programmed to feed an invading army so they don't have to. Troops can stay out in the field longer. They can do whatever they got to do longer. They don't have to go back for resupply. They don't have to worry about having these huge food stocks in the wintertime or bringing, it's all right here already. All you got, every 1 or 2/3 house is going to have a supply of food in it for 30, 40, 50 days, maybe a year. Because if you're a prepper and you're into the survivalism and things like that, everybody and their mother at the end of their show or at the somewhere on their website, it's always, buy freeze-dried food. Buy this. I'll get this. Da-da-da. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of money to be made in this too. But at the same time, why the big push for it all of a sudden? I really want you to think about it. And I really want you to think about what you're doing to protect it. I'm Covert Radio. Subscribe. Like I said, this channel, the Covert Radio Mess Hall, is an extension of my premier channel, Covert Radio. I have a couple other channels too. They'll pop up here in a second. If you like what you're hearing and you'd like to support me on Patreon, my link is also up at the top there and in the description. You guys take care. Have a good day.